course, syntax, the very basics of CP. So this is what we'll learn now. It's basically just a crash course in C++. Data types and variables, input, output, blah, blah, blah. If you already know the C++ language, go ahead and try some problems in Codebreaker and get used to the platform. Yeah. And yes, like I said before, please use an IDE, okay? If not, you're going to end up like this guy over here. Like, bro did not see that he forgot a semicolon. What a waste of time. Yeah. So let's begin. Your first two lines of code in CP must be these two. Include bits std c++.h and using namespace std again semicolon. So basically what this does is bits includes every single header file you need for competitive programming. Because if not, if you don't use this line of code, you have to be this guy over here who uses like I don't know how many include statements. So like there's things like vector, queue, stack, these are all data structures which you will find useful like in the next lesson. So yeah. The next thing is how to read input in C++. Oh, actually, never mind. This just demonstrating why we need to use using namespace std. Like if you don't put the second line, you have to type std colon like every single time, which is like kind of frustrating. So yeah, just use this. Your next three lines of code is to include the int main function. Now all code in C++ must run in the int main function. I mean, the main script runs in the main function now. Like you have to put in main function and run your code inside there. Your program begins running in that main function. So your statements in your program must go between the curly braces before you return statement. So yeah, this is not Python where you use colon. Here is everything's between curly braces, just like JavaScript, I guess. The return 0 must be the last line of your main function because 0 is the return value of the main function and 0 indicates that your program is done. I mean, it's not necessary, but like it's good to have it, so just have it. Semicolons are often used to indicate the end of the instruction. So yeah, I mean, use semicolons. Don't get syntax errors. It's quite sad. So boilerplate code. Boilerplate code. This basic structure must appear in every program. Memorize this, okay? Because I think it's like much faster than coming here. Should type it out like a few times by memory, just like solve some questions and you like probably remember it. So okay, data types and variables. So just like any other programming language, C++ has variables. It's used to store data, of course. And each variable is tagged to a data type. So Python you don't have to specify, but here you need to specify what data type your variable is assigned to. JavaScript is just let, right? This one you have to specify. So unlike data types indicate what data the variable stores represent, and also dictate what operations you can do with that variable. So first two, bool. Very simple, just boolean. It's just true or false. And one more thing to note, okay, compared to Python, the C++ true is all lowercase. Python is capital T, right? This one's just lowercase, so beware of that. And char is character, it's character, which is just one letter. It may only contain a single character. So yeah. Next thing is integer data types, which is both a boon and a curse for C++. It's kind of like annoying, but yeah. Anyways, this one is obviously used to do numerical computations. And the thing about integer data types in C++ is that they are they just like store it. They just store your data in X number of bytes or bits that have a certain range associated with it. So there's 16-bit integers, 32-bit integers. And if you set the value of these variables outside this range, it will result in overflow or underflow. So like it'll just go haywire. You don't want that, basically. So these are the three most common types. Short is bad. Why would you ever use short, honestly? It's like a 16-bit integer. You can see a range on there, right? Int is 32-bit and long is 64-bit. And that's unsigned short. Now unsigned means you cannot store any negative number, hence the name unsigned. So what it does, it basically doubles the positive number, if you get what I mean. Like um I mean something like that. No, basically adds one more bit to your positive number. So this one was 2 to the power of 15 minus 1 for short, right? Here you can see it's 2 to the power of 16 minus 1. So same goes for the other two, unsigned int and unsigned long long. So here's your best friend. Define int long long. So it's defined, right? It replaces all instance of int with long long when your code is compiled. So your compiler will read int as long long instead. So now it's very unlikely for your long long to overflow. So there's one more thing you need to make sure of. When you use the define int long long, right? You need to change the int main to int 32 underscore t. Because main returns a 32-bit integer and it has to be a 32-bit integer for some reason. So you have to specify int 32 underscore t. But you can also use sign. You can use sign. That's another way to go about it. Next, oh my god, floating point data types. It can be used to store decimals, but floats in C++ are very stupid, as you can look at the right. That kind of thing sometimes happens. Yeah. So it's very hard to use arithmetic between floating point data types for some reason. It's weird. It's just weird. It's very impossible to be exact. And Python is good in this, but not C++. But anyways, here's a floating point. Double is like more precise. I forgot how many decimal points actually. And long double is even more precise. So if you try to put a decimal into a non-decimal data type, like 7.5, it'll be truncated. So 7.5 will become 7. 7.9 will become 7. Basically round down now. So next thing is strings. Strings, I think you should be familiar with this already. It's just text up. Which is between double quotation marks. Yeah, basically that. So so you just like put a data type string. Oops, and you declare it, just put string. Then you put the variable name. So to create a variable, like I said, declare it by giving it a name and specify the data type associated with it first. So variable names, just like most other languages are. But like in CP, right, we do not care about good programming practices. For the sake of speed, right, we just use single letter variable names. For but if you are just beginning, right, feel free to use long variable names so that you get used to coding it out first. It is optional for you to give it an initial value. As you can see here, right, when we declared the string, it was just string s. We didn't assign it a value at first. But if you really wanted to, you can put string s equals to hello. Same with like integers and etc. There's one more thing you should know: variables data type cannot be changed after it has been declared. So each variable must be declared only once, or else you will get a syntax error. So yeah, this is the syntax of data type, variable name, and if you want to, initial value. So you can see some examples here. Just follow that. And one more thing to remember when you're defining a character, right? Use single quotes. Don't use double quotes. Double quotes is for string. Single quotes for character. Just remember that. And all other data types must not be surrounded by quotes. So how to set and access variables? Well, it's very similar to most languages that use the equal sign. If you want to change it afterwards, you don't need to specify the data type. Just put the variable name and set it to your new value. So you can also do like int a equals to x. Yeah, this is basically just like any other programming language, nothing too new for y'all, I guess. And here's something quite important. Firstly, to read input, you gotta use cin, not cin. And the syntax like this are cin, two two greater than symbols and a. It basically looks like arrows pointing into a. So you can think of it like you're inputting stuff into a. That's what it looks like. And you can also stack cin statements, as you can see on the fourth line. Cin, B, C. You can just stack like that. You don't need to put cin B semicolon cin C. You can just do it on one line. Now the more important thing is this highlighted line of code. iOS space, blah blah blah. This one is fast input. It makes your input like faster by skipping some random processes. Now this one is quite important to pass some questions because some may have like really big input sizes. So you want to have this line of code on basically every code you do in CP, just to make sure you don't TLE because your input was too slow, which is quite depressing. So yeah, like I said, you can change C in like this. So putting instead of like wasting like so many lines of code, just do that one. Looks so nice, I think. So one more thing about Cin is that unlike Python, it automatically skips any white spaces and new lines. So if you look at this, right, if I input 1, 2, 3, yeah, if I input 1 space 2 space 3, A will be assigned 1, B will be assigned 2. Yeah, I think you can see how it works. But if you look at strings, right, if you try to assign hello funny person, right, B won't be assigned funny person, B will only be assigned funny because there's a white space between funny and person. So C will be assigned person. So yeah, be a bit wary about that because that can sometimes happen. So use cout to output variables and text. Is cout, and notice that now it's a lesser than symbol. It's not a greater than symbol. So yeah, take note of that. Cin is the other way around. Cout's the other way around. So special characters like double quotes must be escaped with a backslash, like this. Like if you want to, for some random reason, if you want to output quotes, then I use backslash quote. But I don't think you'll ever do this in CP. So like, it doesn't matter. And again, you can change cout. So it's like you can change cout just like how you change cin, as you can see from the third line. You can also print integers, booleans, etc. You don't have to change it to a string to do it. You can just print it like that. Like you can just do cout 7 without the quotes. So what are you waiting for? Time for you to go AC your first problem in Codebreaker. I hope. I hope not, but like yeah. Go try Hello World on Codebreaker. It's Hello World. It's your typical Hello World. And once you're done with Hello World, go do go do greeting. Because like it's very similar. Okay. I guess I'll just leave you all to do it later. So next, comments. Comments allow to annotate your code. I mean, I think you should know this already, I guess. When finding which part of your code throws an error, like I think commenting out certain lines of code will actually help you to check if the rest of your code works. So some code editors should allow you to hide a chunk of code and press like control slash or command slash. So two ways of commenting code: line comments and block comments. So line comments will double slash, not hashtag like in Python, it's double slash here. And you can put it anywhere, it's fine. Just don't put it before a line of code. And for block comments, use use forward slash and asterisk, and then like end with asterisk, then forward slash, like this. It's quite useful when debugging because like you like annotating a code might sometimes help you to know like what your code's doing and like what's going wrong with your code. So the next thing is operators. And C++ has operators are. I mean, obviously. Most of the time you can use an operator between two variables of the same type. Like usually you can only use it between two variables of the same type. So here's a table. Well, this is pretty obvious. Well, the percentage symbol is just a modulus operator. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you've done like Python and other stuff, it should be very familiar with you to you. So yeah. Okay, one more thing to note, right? When you use the division in C++, just like how okay, when you use division in C++, right, your answer will be truncated. So like 4 divided by 5 is 0.8 by right, but it'll be truncated to an integer, right? It can't give 0.8, so it'll give 0, even though rounding up is 1. So yeah, keep that in mind. So we have this plus equals, minus equals, times equals, divide equals. So Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory how this works. Just equivalent to what's on the right side. And yeah, plus plus is a shorter way of writing plus equals one. And there is a difference between doing plus plus I and I plus plus when used as part of a statement. I plus plus, which is post increment. It basically what does is it uses the current value of I and then it increments it by one. But for pre-increment, it does it the other way around. It increments it first, then it uses it. So if you look at the code below, right, you can see the difference. It's kind of clear. Like it prints 5, then it increments. But for the one for pre-increment, right, it adds first, then it prints 6. So then we have division, which okay, I think I explained too early already, my bad. So here's the same thing again. If you're going to divide two integer data types, they're going to be truncated. Even if you try to store the result in a double, and that's crucial. Even if you try to store 3 divided by 2 into double, it's still going to show 1. So what you got to do is you got to typecast. So you instead of just doing it like the first line, you add double. Like you can see, you put double in brackets before the statement. By doing that, you are typecasting the result into a double. So that's how you can change. That's also how you can change data types, by the way. So here's an example. If you ever wanted to do this, as you can see from C, since A and B are both integers, right? Sorry, what am I saying? Not C, D. Since A and C are both integers and 10 divided by -4 is not an integer, typecasting double to A and double to C like this would result in negative 2.5 instead of -2. So yeah, time for you to have a math test, I guess. Um, try the addition problem on CodeBreaker. If I'm not wrong, it's the third problem. Okay. Okay, so now conditionals. What are conditionals? So just like any other programming language, this one is pretty similar. It allows the program to decide if a certain instruction or block should be executed. First thingy. Okay, should 3 equals to 4, guys? Personally, I think no. 3 not equals to 4. Yeah. So let's get to this. So you can see this is how the evaluation works out. It's just like any other programming language. Nothing new on this. Now, floating point comparison. Now, again, floats in C++ are a big headache. So, because they can sometimes be like very inaccurate. If you want to like check two floating points that are equal, you can use the following. Like you can, if A comma B, right? Like if you have two variables A and B, absolute the difference between them and check if it is lesser than like 0.00001 or some small value. Because I also don't know, I forgot how floats work, but basically, right, the floats, each float is not the same. Two floats are not the same. There's like some very minute inaccuracies that make them like ever so different from each other, yet so similar. So, yeah. So if statements in C++ is like this. If, then you have condition between the brackets, your condition. And then you have curly braces, just like a function. And one more thing to note, in Python, you didn't have to put brackets between the condition. But in C++, you have to put your condition between brackets. So here's an example. If number smaller than 0 is in the brackets, then you put the code that you want to be executed inside the curly braces. So if yeah, this is pretty standard logic. If two is not smaller than 0, nothing will be printed out. So yeah, if you want to make a grading system for some reason, this is how you do it. This is how you also stack if and else if. So if and else if. There's no elif in C++. It's just else if. Yeah. More examples. Well, I guess. Yeah, I mean if true will always run, nothing's going to stop it from running. So Boolean operators. So the first thing is the exclamation mark just not. And yeah, it's pretty obvious what it does. It just toggles the Boolean value. and is two ampersand symbols. And you can see true and true equals to true, which true and false equals to false, etc. And or is two of the bar thingies. I don't know what it's called. But like, yeah, it's basically above the backslash key. So it's basically the or from other programming languages. There's one more thing you can actually, right? You don't have to use these symbols. You can just type not and or, and the code will run perfectly fine. So you don't have to use these symbols. Actually, I never use them myself. So like, yeah. So yeah, even more examples. You don't have to put double ampersand. You just put and. It'll work perfectly fine. Okay. So as you can see, right, if numbers like above 50 and smaller than 100, which is the case, so it'll print this statement. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, next thing is short circuit evaluation. Now, if you try to do A divided by B, right, if B equals 0, and if you try to do A divided by B, it'll throw an error, like zero division error. So in order to make sure that you don't like in order to make sure that your program doesn't die, you put B not equals to 0 first. You first check whether B is not equal to 0. So that if B isn't equal to 0, right, this conditional won't the code inside the conditional won't be executed, and it will move on to the next line of code below the conditional safely. So yeah, just do that if you're not sure whether your second variable is 0 or not when division or other stuff like that. So yeah, this problem called exam, try doing it and try doing PSLE also. Yeah, even or odd also. Okay, so other useful math functions. You have min and max, which does what it says. It returns the minimum of the two values, maximum of the two values. And this very annoying thing about this thing is that you have to make sure that the data type of the argument must be the same. So that means both must be int or both must be long long. You cannot have one being int and you cannot have one being a 32-bit integer and you cannot have the other one being a 64-bit integer. That one is just not going to work. So yeah, kind of stupid, but what to do? You can also pass an array into the min-max function to get the minimum or maximum of the array. So as you can see here, this one should output 1, and this is how you can pass an array into a max function. Just put it between curly braces, not square brackets for this. So another math test. Go do maximum. Okay, next, loops. So what are loops? It basically allows you to repeatedly execute a block of statements. It makes sure your condition is attainable, or your program may crash or not work as intended. So infinite loops are undefined behavior and may be optimized out by the compiler. So there are three types of loops. They basically do the exact same thing, but it's just a bit different in terms of implementation and thinking. For loop repeatedly executes a block of statements for a fixed number of times, usually maintained by a counter. While loop is just does it while the condition is true. Do while is it executes the block of statements once first, and then for subsequent times it repeatedly executes it only if the given condition is like true. So yeah, the difference between while and do while. While does not execute the code first, it checks for the condition. While do while executes the code first, and then from then on it checks the condition. So this is how a for syntax. This is how the for syntax is. You have the initialization, condition, and update. So here is where we put like int I equals to 0. The code is on the next slide. So for loops, I usually use for like no syntax that makes for loops. I usually make for what am I saying? For loops are usually used the most for like. I mean, it just looks good. I mean, it's quite easy to understand. If you want to iterate through an array or data structure, it's very useful for that. So yeah, look at the flowchart here to understand how it works. So for A, B, C, D, right? A is initializing statement. It will initialize the statement first, of course. B is the condition, which is what it will check before running the code each time. and C is whether to increment or update the counter. And yeah, D is the code for you. D is the code that you want to run. So you have all of this here. So this is how we do a typical for int loop in C++. This one is the same thing as for I in range 10, print hello world. So for int I equals to 0, semicolon, remember that. I smaller than 10, that's your condition. And I plus plus is you incrementing the I variable each time you run this code. So order of execution, it initializes I. It first checks whether I is smaller than 10. If it's smaller than 10, then it like does this. If not, it will exit the loop. So yeah, I think you should understand this. So yeah, set I equals to 0 if I is less than 10. And since I is less than 10, 0 is smaller than 10. So it prints hello world and end line. So it'll keep on running like this until I reaches like 10. When I reaches 10, this condition is not fulfilled, so it'll terminate that. Yeah. So now while loop. While loop, you just put a condition inside the while loop and then it'll do stuff. Like if your variable, if this condition returns true, it'll always do whatever's inside here. Yeah, the logic for this is pretty straightforward. There's not much explaining to do. Condition true, just do the code. If not, die. Now there's a for loop input. If usually this is how we input stuff into arrays. We basically use this like almost all the time. So like first you input the size that you want to do. Because usually the problems they'll give you the size of the array first. So you input that to n. And then for I equals 0, I smaller than n, see in the required values into your array. So you do sum in. This one is where you need to use a for loop. Oh yeah, and math and fun game. This one is an interesting math problem. Go try it out later. And yeah, additional problems. Okay, arrays. Okay, so array is a series of elements of the same type placed in the contiguous memory locations. You can either initialize the array with values or you can declare it with uninitialized values. Like declaring an array with uninitialized values will lead to an array with values of 0 if it's outside the main function. But if you put it inside the main function, it'll be absolute gibberish. So you can declare an array of any data type. Like for example, you have an integer array. And this is how we declare, by the way. In scores, we put the size of the array in square brackets next to the variable name. So this array here has 5 elements. So we put 5 in between square brackets after the variable name scores. And then when we initialize the integer array with 5 elements, we put the numbers in between curly braces. And here is just like initializing a character array without putting elements inside. And this one is another way to do it. You can just leave the square brackets empty, and based on the array that you put inside, the compiler will fill in the size for you. So it'll just fill in 4 here for you. But in order to use this, you must give values up. So how does indexing happen? Just like any other language, it's 0 index, pretty straightforward. Accessing elements, also pretty similar to other languages. Just put the index in the square brackets and read it. So if you want to access the second element, aka the third in normal human math, then put 2 and you get the third position. And if you want to change anything, just like do the same thing as printing. Put the index number in square brackets and assign it with the new value that you want to use. Okay, so the thing is, array in the global scope, aka outside any functions, they are determined at compile time. So what that means is that the size of any arrays that you declare in the global scope must be constant. Like you have to specify the size tag. Yeah, you have to specify the size of your array. If not, you're gonna die. On the other hand, arrays with functions that are allocated dynamically on the other hand, arrays with functions are allocated dynamically. So it can be of variable size. Actually, so basically what it means is that over here, right, since here we define size to be 5,000, it's a constant, and therefore you can declare it like this. But you can't put int n, you can't put like int n, and then you put array n, like outside the main function. It won't work. You have to do it inside here. So yeah, common mistake. Please remember to C in n, because if you don't input your n is not going to have any value, and I think this is definitely gonna like explode. So like don't forget to see in your n value first. So next we have looping through arrays. Well, it's just like reading an input to arrays. It's basically the same thing. Just for I equals 0, I smaller than the size of the array, then yeah, index like array.
We are facing technical difficulties right now.
Oh no. Wait,
We're back.
but can hear me right?
No, I can't hear you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, so I guess do go to school. It's basically this question here. Can just do it. Just do it now. Okay. I think I'll go through it in like 10 minutes. I think. Oh, okay. No, sorry. No exclamation mark. I haven't done this. Okay. So no exclamation mark. And then, remember. Okay. Another thing in CP is that you wanna end your output with this character, an endline character. So at the end of your output, right, whenever you're at the end of your output, remember to see out \n. It's a character, so just put it between single quotes like this. Okay. So you just like go to that, copy paste it and submit. Oh, what happened?
The comma.
Oh wait, wait. Wait, there's a comma there. Wait, why? Okay, wait. Why is there no comma? Okay, what? Doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
You did not see that happen. You did not see that happen.
Oh wait, he
Yeah,
just got his.
there was a comma.
Oh,
Oh my
that's
god, my bad. Okay, you did not see that happen. Anyways, yeah, this minute.
okay. Wait, are there any questions?
Yeah, any questions about this? So don't hesitate to ask this. Yeah. Okay. If not, okay, if no questions, then okay. The next question is for you to do greeting. So yeah, this question called greeting. Okay, there's one more thing I think I need to tell you about. I think you need to know one more thing about this. So in C++, remember I said that whenever you put in input, it it skips white space. It thinks white space is separator. So like if you're gonna see in like if you see in hello world, like hello space world, right? It would, if you see in like hello space world to a string s, s will only contain hello because there's a white space between. So like let's show you this. Say I'm this right. Now I just put like hello world. Wait, I hope you can see the text. I hope you can see my terminal. I hope it's not too small. You can see it only prints hello. It does not print hello world. Now that's a problem because right, for greeting you kind of need to yeah, you kind of need to sometimes you have space in the input. So I think okay, this is not required to solve the problem, but I think it's a very good piece of code for you to know. So of doing this, use get line, then cin, comma, the variable name. So in our case it's s. So get line, basically it gets the entire line. It also includes space characters. So now if we run the code, hello world with the space. See now it prints hello world with the space. So if you wanna see in the entire line into one string variable, use the getLine function like this. GetLine, in, comma, the variable name. And of course semicolon. Yeah. Okay, so for this one I'll give you around 9 until 9:59. Yeah, I'll give you until 9:59. Wait, is my screen blurry? Wait, are you able to see the code? Is it like too small? Okay, it's probably too small, my bad. Okay. If my screen was blurry, I hope this kind of fixed it. Oh, wait, if my code was blurred before, I'm very sorry about that. I think I had the code too small. So yeah, just again get that C in comma slash S. That's all you need. Okay, so now I'll go through greeting. So, the problem statement is just they give you the input is just the guy's name, and all you have to do is like print out the Chinese New Year greeting. I'm not going to pronounce it because I don't want to butcher the language. So yeah, just print out the name followed by the greeting. So uh, command Control C, Control V. I just like Control C this thing. I'm just like copying it. So you go here. In addition to printing out the name, do it this way. Yeah. There. So this should print what the question asks for. I don't know. Xiao Ming. Okay. So I'll just submit this. Oops. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Any questions about this? Okay, if no questions, then let's move on to the next question. So the first two were just for you to get used to see in and see out. Now the next question is doing addition, and addition is addition. Just they'll give you two numbers, and yeah, you print the sum. So I'll give you until like 10:05. I'll give you until 10:05. Okay. I'll go through addition now. Okay. So the problem just asks us to get two numbers and add them together. So all you have to do is just this int a b, c int a, c and b, and c out a plus b. And you don't need to have written zero, it's fine. No problem. Okay. Now, okay, this is on purpose.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's on purpose, it's on purpose. Well,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it did not AC the other subtask. That's very unfortunate. Why is that the case? Now let's look at the problem constraints again. The subtask 2 was 10 to the power of 9, which fits in a 32-bit integer. But 10 to the power of 18, subtask 3, 10 to the power of 18. Now that's a huge number, and that does not fit into a 32-bit integer. You have to use something like you have to use something bigger. So you gotta use long log. So if in case you forgot the statement, it's this define int long long. This one is easier than doing this. You can also do this long like this, but I mean like you don't want to type long all the time. It's like a waste of time. So put define hashtag define int long, and remember I said the main function has to return a 32-bit in integer, so it has to be in 32 underscore t, or it can be signed. Oh wait, let's check. Yeah, so yeah,
Oh, let's go. Can everyone give him a round?
so this is why you should always use long in C++. It is, I don't think I've seen a problem which leads you to just use the 32-bit integer. There's like no real world case for it. So just always have defined in long and do it this way. So in order to prevent stuff like that. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. If no questions, let's try exam. Third problem, I think. Yeah. So yeah, this will be the problem. It's uh pretty similar to the first question. To addition. Okay, I'll give you until 10:30. I'll give you until 10:30 to finish this. Okay. So I'll go through it then. Okay. So the question for exam, it asks you to full screen. Now what am I doing? Yeah. Okay. So the question for exam, it gives you an integer x. That's the first time input. If x equals to 1, just print hello world without the quotes in one line. If x equals to 2, then they will give you two numbers, a and b, and you need to output the product of a and b. So yeah, this is where I think you need to use if statements here. So how you go about it in the x, in x. If x equals to 1, then print hello world. Okay, I'm not going to put a comma this time, don't worry. Actually, wait, you don't need to put the slash n separately. You can just do it this way. You can do it this way, yeah. Else that means x equals to 2, because x can only be 1 or 2. In that case, they will give you two numbers, see in both numbers, and see out the product of the numbers. Like this. Okay. Be right. Yeah. So that's how you do exam. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, then the next problem we're gonna do is PSLE. Okay. Um yeah. Yeah, this is PSLE, I guess. I think this is a bit more simpler. So a bit more simpler or harder. I mean, I honestly feel it's a bit simpler. So I'll give you all around until 10:19. I'll give you until 10:19. Okay, I'll go to PSI now. All right, so PSLE is this is the old PSA grading system. It's not the one we have now. So I it just gives you a mark, and you're just supposed to output the grade. So if like the mark is 90, then you output A. Yeah. So as you can tell, right, it is basically just stacking if statements. Because like if A is like more than 91, you're just going to print A. If it's more than 75, more than equals to 75, then you're going to print A, etc. So that's what you're supposed to do. So if they give you so int x, c in x, and then a bit tedious lah, but you gotta do it. You have to do this. Just print the grades like this. If x greater than equals to 91, then print A star. Else, else we have to keep on doing it like this. Else if, gotta use else if here. Else if x greater than equals to 75, then we print 8. And we basically like copy paste this for like the other grades. Oops. Okay, what the grades 60. X is greater than equal to 20, then print E. Else, that means X is below 20. We print U. Okay, now let me change the grades. Make sure you're right. Yeah, just check. Yeah, this is how we do PSLE. It's just stacking if conditional statements. Yeah. Any questions? Again, feel free to put in the questions channel or open a ticket if your code is going haywire. Okay, so if there are no further questions, then let's move on to the next problem. Okay, yeah, we got swips. Okay, next problem is even or odd. Okay, wait, this is kind of simple. It's pretty simple. So I'll give you like 3 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes. 10:26.
We need to change the module.
Okay. Sorry. I'll go through even or odd right now. I mean, the question is fairly simple. If the number is odd, print odd. If the number is even, print even. So, yeah, again, you have this. Now, the only thing that, so the only new thing is this, the modulo operator, which gives the remainder of that, which gives the remainder. So let's say x modulo x percentage symbol 2. If x is odd, this expression will give 1. If x is even, it will give 0 because remainder of an even number divided by 2 is 0. So if it's this, see out even. And remember to make your first letter capital. If your first letter is like lowercase, right, it's gonna be wrong. Yeah, so remember that. Okay. That's actually it. Yeah, so that's even all the any questions? Anyways, basically we're going a bit slower now because like we just want to make sure that y'all get the basics right first. So that when y'all go through the more advanced concepts later on, you'll like be very confident in coding it out. Because after all, you need to know how to code it out first. So yeah, feel free to do as many of these questions as you need so as to build your confidence in C++ syntax, especially if you're new to it. Because I think confidence is maybe like the most important thing when it comes to CP. All right. Okay. So if not, the next question is maximum. Yeah, the next question is maximum. If I'm not wrong. Oh wait. No, now I'll just like go through this. So this one's a very straightforward one. Like it'll give you like two integers. It'll just give you two integers. This question. Yeah, so the input will consist of two integers a and b, one on each line. So your task is to output the biggest one. So yeah, int AB, C in AB, and see out the maximum of the two. So use the max function. This one is inbuilt. This is part of the C++ STL library, which is why we like using C++. Because it has like many cool functions like this one. So we just submit this one. And yeah. Yeah, so that's that. So okay, let's go to a slightly more difficult question. That one's a bit easy. Something, yeah, this one's slightly more difficult. But yeah, Gary the Snail apparently goes meow or something. um, basically, they give you a list of numbers. Output the sum. I'll give you until 1036. Yeah, I'll give you until 1036. I'll go through at 1036. Okay. I'll go through sum of integers now. Sum it, sorry. Yeah, sum it. So apparently we have a snail that goes meow. And like because Excel is a very stupid app, it crashed. And now he cannot calculate the number of times he meowed. So he knows how many times he meowed in each day, but he needs you to write a program to sum up how many times he meowed in D days and tell him the sum, the total amount. So first input D, which is basically an integer. This D basically is the number of numbers that's going to be on the second line. Second line is just like D space separated numbers between 0 and 100,000. So yeah. Now we're not dealing with two numbers anymore. Now we're dealing with like a lot more than two numbers. So we can't just do this anymore. We can't like int A comma B. We have to do it differently. So we first need to see in that. We need to see in the size. So now we gotta use the for loop because we need to like because we need to get like D numbers right. So for int I equals to 0, this initializes your counter. So this is basically like for I in range 10, like is that I, the same I smaller than D, I plus plus. This one is to increment the I after running the code each time. Once you do this, okay, sorry. And then also you need to store the sum of you need to store the sum of what you've calculated already. So make another variable called sum and assign it 0 at first. And for each time you run for each I in D, um, get C in X. This one is that X is basically these numbers here. So like when running the for loop for the first time, you get this, second time is this, third is this, and so on. And then you just add it to X, so to sum. And you use this operator here, plus equals. So once you do that, now you just print sum, just see out sum, and should be done. I'll just test it. Okay, so 3, 10, 20, 30, 60. Yeah. So now submit. And yeah, there we go. So this is how we use a for loop to this is how you use a for loop in general in C++. This one is to like get you like acclimatized with using for loops in C++. So if you have any questions, do let me know. So if no questions, okay, if no questions, right? Let's try 3n plus 1. Yeah, 3n plus 1. So it's this one. Okay, yeah, this one is instead of them giving you like a lot of numbers, you're gonna print a lot of numbers. Yeah, all you do is just generate the sequence that you have said here. You generate a sequence here. I'll give you until 10:44. Yeah, I'll go through at 10:44. Okay. I'll go through 3n plus 1 now. All right. So the problem says that they will give us a number, and that's literally the only thing they give. They're just giving one number. It's just this number n. That n is basically the starting number of the sequence, and using this number, they want you to generate the following sequence. Each point in the sequence, if n is even, the next number is n divided by 2. And if n is odd, the next number is 3 times n plus 1. And we continue this way until we reach 1, where after that we stop. So the last number you print has to be 1. And the first number you print has to be the thing they gave you. So how do we generate this? So basically where there's no way for you to know like the number of numbers you got like print. So you gotta use a while loop. So first let's do our input. Since there's only one number, we just see it into an n. And because the first number of the sequence is always going to be n, might as well just print out first. Now the thing is, now the question says that we keep on doing this until we reach 1. So therefore, while n is not equals to 1, we keep on doing this until n is not equals to 1. So while that's the case, if n if n is not is if n is even, that means n modulo 2 equals to 0. If n is even, then we print n divided by 2. Actually, no, wait, one more thing. Let's not do this way. Yeah. So then we basically divide n by 2. Alright. Or else if n modulo 2 equals to 1, which is the only other outcome of n modulo 2. So we don't have to put else if. So if n is odd, then we multiply n by 3. So n multiplied by 3, then n plus plus. Yeah, so 3n plus 1. After we do that, then we see out n. Let's say my bad. Force of habit. So then we see out n like this. And we repeat this until n equals to not equals to 1. Yeah. And then again, don't forget to print the new line. Well, it's usually not a problem in most cases, but some problems require you to print a new line for whatever reason. You sadly have to do that. So yeah, it's a good habit to always print a new line character at the end of your output. Yeah, okay, I think sure. Now we go here, submit. Yeah, that's how you do this. So this one is just to introduce you to the usage of while loops. Any questions? Okay. If not, then our next question is pass. If I'm not wrong, I think this was a slightly easier question. Was it? Okay, okay, I think it's fairly a bit slightly more straightforward. Slightly. So give you until 10:52. Yeah, I'll give you until 10:52. Okay. I'll go through fizz buzz now. Okay. So the problem is this: you count from 1 to n, and n will be given to you. It's part of the input. For each multiple of a, you got to print fizz. But for each multiple of b, you got to print buzz. And for multiples of both a and b, also known as multiples of a times b, but you don't have to do it that way. You can print fizz buzz. You have to print fizz buzz like this. Yeah, you gotta take note of the capital lettering over here. B must be in capitals. So they give you three numbers, n, a, and b. And you can see from the sample, right? Since n is 10, they count from 1 to 10. 2, 3, yeah. So yeah, like if it's a multiple of 2, they print fizz. If it's a multiple of 3, they print buzz. So how do we go about this? Now we print, okay, since there's three numbers that they input, we see them accordingly. Oops. Right? Now, for in I equals to 1, I smaller than equal to n. So that means I will be between 1 and n inclusive. Okay. So now we want to check this. If, okay, if I, if I modulo a is equivalent to 0, this means that I is a multiple of a. Then you print fizz. Okay. If I a multiple of b, you print buzz. Now there's no need to check for both a and b, because if it's both a and b, right? Since I didn't put else if, it's gonna print fizz and buzz together, which will fulfill the requirements of. Oh no, oh no, it's my bad. Okay. Yeah, which will fulfill the requirements of fizz buzz over here. Yeah. And there's one more thing. If it's not divisible by any of these, if it's not a multiple of any of these two, you have to print just a number. So to check for that, if not, you can also use exclamation mark, but I also use the not because I got familiar with Python anyways. So meaning if both of these are not fulfilled, and for clarity's sake, I'll just put brackets between the statements. So if not I multiple of A, if not I multiple of B, that means you just print the number. You just print the number. Right. Oh yeah, wait, sorry. If you're just gonna have a one-line if statement, you don't have to put it in curly braces. You can just put it next to the if statement. You can do that too. I just did it out of a force of habit. So sorry about that. And you gotta print a end line for each. As so. So let's see if it works. Was it 10, 2, 3? Oh wait, I think I messed up here. It's very funny. Oh wait. Wait. I'm actually still doing what am I doing? Okay. Ignore that. That's not a good example. So basically, right, the condition here was wrong. That's what happened. So there's a different way to check it. Actually, don't do what I said. These two is correct for fizz and buzz, but for those But for those numbers which aren't the multiple of either A or B, then you gotta make sure that means the modulo of the number with A and modulo of the number with B will not be zero, right? So correct one. Never mind. Okay, I think I'm probably too tired. That's good. So okay, you not forget that it's very fancy, just do the simpler way. So this is just doing it simple, easy peasy. If I modulo of A and I modulo of B equals zero, then just print first bus. Else, if I modulo A equals zero, just print fizz. Else, if I modulo B equals zero, just print bus. And else, just print the number. Don't print fizz or bus. Replace NL with backslash N. NL is not good. NL is not good for usage. Because sometimes it makes your code a bit slower. So use backslash N. Yeah. Sorry for that. My brain fart. I think I'll just copy this and make it. I'll just copy this to look better. Yeah. Yeah. I just gave a very negative example of why you shouldn't overcomplicate things. I overcomplicated the condition. Actually, in CP, right, if things look slightly more complicated than it seems, just break it down to the simplest of problems. Just break it down to like very simple problems and just solve it like that. Like I tried to bite too much. I tried to bite like more than I could chew by putting like not I modulo A. That's not a good example. You shouldn't do that. Instead, make your code as simple as possible. Make it like it's like this is so simple, you can read it compared to that not I modulo A equals zero. That kind of thing causes you to get confused. So when you do even more complicated problems, right, try to make it as simple as possible. That not only ensures that you know what you're doing, but if you encounter anything wrong with your code, it's also easier for you to debug, which can save you a lot of time during contests. So yeah, keep it simple. Any questions? Yeah. I'll just like some of them. I'm very sure it's going. Oh wait, I just copy pasted the info inside. One idiot. Yeah, yeah. If no questions, then we'll move on to the next problem. Okay. Okay, next problem is wait. Very funny problem. I like this problem. Right angle triangle. This one has no numbers. Or at least has one number, like yeah. This is like a typical coding problem that you see on like HackerRank or like a random website or something. Probably see this in like Python tutorials. It's the same thing, but not C++. So yeah, print a right angle triangle. Give you until 11:05. Give you until 11:05. Okay. I'll go through right angle triangle right now. So this one requires you to print a right angle triangle. Right. So they give you n. You print a right angle triangle with height n and width n. So the only thing we need in this question is n. So int n, c n. So to print a right angle triangle, you're gonna have n lines. As you can see here, there's n lines for an n size triangle. If this n was 5, you'd have 5 lines. So therefore, for int I equals 0, I smaller than n, I plus plus, right? So this loop will run n times. And that means, right, for each line, you're going to print one more asterisk than the last one. But this one has like one more than this one. This one has one more than this one. So therefore, you're going to have a for loop within a for loop. This is known as a nested for loop. And since you can't use I again because you are using I for the first for loop. So you got to use another variable as the counter for your second loop. So for int j equals to 0, j smaller than I plus 1. Now, why not I? Because for the first row, I equals to 0. And if you're going to put j smaller than 0, right, this for loop is never going to run. So you got to increase it by 1. So once you do that, see out an asterisk. And at the end of that, see out the new line. So once you're done with that, you get this very beautiful right angle triangle. So submit. Yeah, that's how you print the right angle triangle. No real world use case, but it looks cool. And if you're feeling bored, go try go try printing like a rhombus or a diamond. It's quite cool. It's like an extension to this. Any questions? Okay. So I think by now you'd have gotten the hang of how loops work. I think you've gotten the hang of how loops work. So now, time for you to try a real life NOI question. This is an NOI question, I think. Yeah, NOI 2009. Xmas. So this might be slightly a bit hard, I think. So yeah, try Xmas. Okay, yeah, this is slightly harder. So for this, I'll give you until 11:15. I'll give you until 11:15. But I might extend it if I have to. So yeah, I'll give you until 11:15. Okay, I think I'll just give like 3 more minutes. Yeah, I'll give like 2 more minutes. Alright, let's go to Express now. So the problem is basically that you have n people who like got gifts. The input it specifies number of guests first, that's n, and the integer corresponding to a gift picked by guest k, where k is between 1 and n, is subsequently specified in the next line. That means, right, the gift picked by guest 1 is basically like the gift picked by guest 1 in this example here is 1. Is the one next to it. So what that means that what you want to do is first let's just first we get the input in. Yeah, so int n, c in n. And wait, let me just check the input constraint. Is it more than 10 to the power of 6? Okay, no, that meant yeah. Now what you want to do is that actually, right, as you can see from the bounds, they said that k is between 1 and n. So I think it's one index this time. And for simplicity's sake, and for simplicity's sake, just change it to one index so that you won't get confused between this and the problem statement. Okay. So the way to solve this is right is to use an array. And you want to and since there's only n people, right, you want to like just make an array of n like this. I'll explain why. So what this basically means is that for this so okay, what it basically means that this number, right, is basically the gift. It's like so basically the output, right, is basically indicating the recipient of the gift brought by guest 1. Right. So the first one. And the gift picked by guest 1 is the one that is mentioned here. So as you can see from this code here, I was like too lazy to go code it out right now. It's like a bit tired. So you can see by printing the entire list. So from this you can tell that this list here, it stores the order. It stores the order of the gifts, like okay, it basically, right, the each index for each I in that list, it stores the recipient of the gift brought by that guest. Right. So what it means is that now that we have this, right? So x in x, what this x is, the x is basically the gift that was picked by guest K, meaning the gift that guest K brought. Right. So what you want to do is you want to set this into x minus 1. You want to set this into like this. Why is that the case? Because that means the person who okay. Sorry, that was like something on somebody. Okay, sorry. Okay. Hey, sorry, I wasn't okay. I wasn't actually like doing the problem. I was just like, I was actually like helping someone else. Like, I actually didn't like read the problem. Like, sorry about that. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, basically, right. I might just look through the info again. Sometimes you might get flustered like this, but that's why you gotta like calm yourself down and just like go through it again. So Let's look through the input again. The integer corresponded to a gift picked by guest k, which is between 1 and n, right? Is subsequently specified in the k plus 1 time, right? So that means guest 1, he picked like a gift 1. So that means actually I'll give you a minute. Right?
Um, I'll be taking over from Sriram. Let me just get everything sorted out. Okay, y'all can see my screen, right? Wait, can y'all see?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay. So, essentially what this problem is saying, right, is we look at your input, okay? The first number is n, which is how many guests there are. And for each line that follows, we'll call this one line 1, then line 2. Line 1 just says that guest 1 got the gift from guest 2. Line 2 says that guest 2 got the gift from guest 1. Does that make sense? So we'll look at example 2. There's 4 guests. Guest 1 has his guest 1 got a gift from guest 2. Guest 2 got a gift from guest 3. Guest 3 got a gift from guest 4. And guest 4 got a gift from guest 1. Uh, Hopefully you understand what that means. And the problem is essentially saying, the problem is asking us to try and find out for each guest I, right? So for each guest 1, 2, 3, and 4, who got their gift? Uh, yeah, does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So if we look at example 1, right? Guest 2 got his gift, or guest 1 got a gift from guest 2, and guest 2 got a gift from guest 1. And because of that, that means that guest 2's gift was received by guest 2, and guest 1's gift was received by guest 2, and guest 2's gift was received by guest 1. And in example 2, we look at this. You see, guest 2, okay, guest 1's gift was received by guest 4, because if we look up here, guest 4, he got his gift from guest 1, therefore, guest 1's gift was received by guest 4. Guest 2, because guest 1 received guest 2's gift, therefore guest 2, the recipient of guest 2's gift is guest 1. This is a tongue twister. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's just look at how to solve it, right? Okay. Yeah, this was my code from last time. Okay. So let's just take a look at this, right? Firstly, we initialize integer n, since that's what they're giving us. We input it, and we have an array called k. Why is it called k? Because like in the question, they refer to it as k lah. Does it share my? Oh, it doesn't share. Okay, give me a second, huh? Okay. Yeah, just like that. Okay, can y'all see this now?
Yep.
Yeah, y'all can see it. So in our question here, Xmas. Okay. I'm into array K essentially refers to all of the guests, and so for each array in K, right? Oh my goodness. Wait, why is this so difficult to explain? Alright, let's just go through the initialization process. The input for this question will be taken from here. Since there are n guests, we will have a for loop from integer I equals 1, I less than equals to n, I plus plus, to get every input n over here. And then we have to work backwards from this. Let's say, okay, so for in num, right? Num is essentially the input over here, following from the lines and following after line 1, so lines 2 until n. Okay, since we want to find out who received, for each guest from 1 to guest n, we want to find out who was the recipient of their gift. So in order to do this, we can kind of just work backwards. Let's look at example 2 for now. Guest 1 received guest 2's gift. And because of that, we can actually fill in who received guest 2's gift. So this integer I is just a placeholder over here.